Religion is one of the oldest and most influential institutions in human history. For thousands of years, it has shaped civilizations, inspired art, dictated laws, and influenced the way people live their daily lives. But behind the rituals, beliefs, and sacred texts, there's a controversial question that many avoid asking. Is religion humanity's longest-running scam? Today, we're diving deep into this thought-provoking topic, peeling back layers of tradition and power to uncover the mechanisms that have allowed religion to endure for centuries. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or someone in between, this script is meant to spark critical thinking and curiosity. From the moment humans began to wonder about the mysteries of life, death, weather, stars, and natural disasters, religion emerged as an explanation. Early humans lacked scientific knowledge, so supernatural stories filled the gap. Shamans, priests, and leaders positioned themselves as the interpreters of unseen forces, creating systems of belief that gave comfort but also consolidated power. Over time, these systems evolved into organized religions, complete with rituals, hierarchies, and sacred texts. While they answered existential questions, they also created a framework where authority could not be questioned because it was tied to divine will. The origins of belief reveal how easily fear and uncertainty can be transformed into systems of control. What began as myth and storytelling turned into institutionalized structures that not only guided people spiritually, but also locked them into obedience, often for the benefit of those in power. This early blueprint set the stage for religion to become one of humanity's most enduring and powerful institutions. Religion has often been used as a tool to legitimize authority. Kings, emperors, and rulers throughout history claimed divine right, meaning their power was sanctioned by God or gods. This strategy kept populations submissive, as questioning rulers became equivalent to questioning the divine itself. Beyond governance, religious institutions maintained control by dictating moral behavior, enforcing rituals, and punishing those who deviated from the faith. The use of fear, whether of eternal damnation, curses, or divine wrath, kept people compliant. Churches and temples accumulated wealth and land, cementing their role as powerful institutions not only spiritually, but politically and economically. This intertwining of religion and governance created a system where faith was not just about spirituality, it was about control. In many cases, religion has been the invisible hand that manipulates populations under the guise of divine truth. When we examine the historical record, the pattern is clear. Religion has been repeatedly used as an effective mechanism for mass obedience, allowing elites to maintain order while reaping benefits of unquestioned authority. Behind every sermon, holy book, and sacred ritual lies an economy. Religion has always been a profitable enterprise. From indulgences sold by the Catholic Church in medieval Europe to modern televangelists flying in private jets funded by donations, the pattern of monetizing faith continues. Temples, churches, and mosques rely on offerings, tithes, and donations, funds that often build wealth for institutions rather than serve the poor as preached. Sacred relics, pilgrimages, and spiritual merchandise turn belief into a booming industry. This commercialization raises a crucial question. Is the true aim of religion to guide the soul or to line the pockets of those in power? Even in societies where religion is tax-exempt, it continues to accumulate untouchable wealth. When people are convinced that giving money equals spiritual salvation, religion functions less like a path to enlightenment and more like one of the most successful business models in history. By tapping into human fear, hope, and guilt, religious institutions have built financial empires that rival governments and corporations. Religion thrives on the human mind's vulnerabilities. By instilling the fear of eternal punishment and the promise of eternal reward, religion exploits some of our deepest psychological needs. The concepts of sin, guilt, and redemption create cycles where followers feel perpetually indebted to the institution that promises salvation. Indoctrination often begins in childhood, ensuring beliefs are deeply ingrained before critical thinking develops. Rituals, chants, and communal worship reinforce group identity and reduce the likelihood of questioning authority. These psychological strategies are powerful. They bind individuals not just intellectually, but emotionally. The fear of social ostracism or divine retribution keeps followers compliant. In modern terms, it's one of the oldest forms of mass psychological programming. Religion doesn't just ask for belief, it reshapes identity, molds behavior, and controls thought patterns. By manipulating the core of human psychology, fear, love, belonging, and hope, it ensures survival and dominance across generations, even in an era when science can explain much of what was once attributed to divine mystery. Despite advances in science and secular governance, religion remains deeply rooted in societies worldwide. Why? Because it continues to adapt, rebranding itself with modern values while retaining its core mechanisms of influence. Today, religion provides community, tradition, and moral frameworks, but it also fuels conflict, division, and exploitation. While some see it as a source of comfort, others view it as an obstacle to progress, equality, and rational thought. Its endurance is a testament to its effectiveness as a system, but also a reminder of humanity's vulnerability to belief. The legacy of religion is dual-edged. It has inspired great art, charity, and compassion, but also wars, persecution, and oppression. If religion is humanity's longest-running scam, it's one that persists because it offers just enough hope to outweigh doubt. Its legacy is not just in scripture or stone temples, but in the way it continues to shape human thought, identity, and society itself. At the heart of nearly every religion lies the promise of life after death. Humans fear mortality more than almost anything else, and religion capitalizes on this fear. From promises of heaven to threats of eternal damnation, religious systems have provided narratives that soothe or terrify people into compliance. The unknown becomes more bearable when there is a structured story of what happens next. Priests, shamans, and religious leaders claim exclusive knowledge of the afterlife, presenting themselves as gatekeepers. This exclusivity ensures dependence. Followers must obey religious teachings and rituals to secure their place in paradise or avoid punishment. The fear of death, combined with the promise of eternity, is perhaps the most powerful psychological hook religion has ever used. It doesn't just explain what lies beyond the grave, it ensures loyalty, obedience, and control over the living. Without this fundamental human fear, many religions would lose their strongest tool of influence. By providing comforting illusions about eternity, religion has transformed one of humanity's deepest anxieties into one of its most profitable and enduring belief systems. Religion doesn't just govern behavior through laws and rituals, it invades the conscience. By defining what is sinful, impure, or immoral, religions create constant states of guilt and shame within believers. Even natural human desires, sexuality, ambition, or doubt are often labeled sinful. This moral framework ensures that followers feel perpetually unworthy, always needing forgiveness and redemption. Who provides that forgiveness? The very institutions that impose the guilt in the first place. It's a cycle designed to maintain dependency. Confession, penance, and rituals of purification offer relief, but only temporarily, locking believers into repeating the process endlessly. This emotional manipulation ensures people remain tied to religious institutions throughout their lives. It also discourages critical thinking, because questioning doctrine itself can be labeled sinful. Guilt and shame are not just emotions here, they are tools of control. By defining human imperfection as an offense against divine law, religion keeps its followers trapped in a psychological loop of wrongdoing and redemption. The effect is profound. Entire populations governed not just by rules, but by the internal policing of their own thoughts and desires. Religious texts, whether the Bible, Quran, Torah, Vedas, or others, are often treated as sacred and unquestionable. They are said to be divine revelations, not human writings, which makes them the ultimate authority. But when examined critically, many of these texts are historically inconsistent, morally questionable, and often products of their time. Yet they are used to justify everything from war to social hierarchies to gender roles. By presenting ancient words as eternal truth, religions create a system where questioning a text equals questioning the divine. This shields leaders from accountability since they can claim their authority rests on unchangeable scripture. Furthermore, texts are often selectively interpreted to suit current power structures. Passages emphasizing peace may be highlighted in one era, while passages supporting violence or oppression are used in another. This selective use makes holy texts both powerful and dangerous, shaping societies across centuries. Ultimately, these writings serve as tools of legitimacy, giving religious institutions a timeless weapon against doubt and dissent. The reverence given to them transforms flawed human words into instruments of enduring authority. Rituals, chants, prayers, and symbols may appear harmless traditions, but they play a vital role in reinforcing religious authority. Rituals create emotional intensity and group bonding, strengthening loyalty to both faith and institution. Through repetition, these practices ingrain beliefs at a subconscious level, bypassing rational analysis. From baptism to communion, from daily prayers to pilgrimages, these symbolic acts serve as constant reminders of belonging and of dependence on religious structures. Symbols like crosses, crescents, or statues carry immense emotional power, uniting people under a common identity. This is not accidental. Leaders understand that rituals and symbols are psychological anchors. They keep faith alive even when reason falters. By binding individuals emotionally to a collective identity, religion ensures conformity. Even those who doubt doctrine may continue rituals out of habit, fear, or family obligation. In this way, rituals function not just as expressions of belief, but as mechanisms of control that entrench faith across generations. They blur the line between culture and spirituality, making religion nearly inseparable from personal and collective identity. Religions often claim to be the ultimate source of morality, portraying themselves as necessary for humans to distinguish right from wrong. But morality predates organized religion. Hunter-gatherer societies had systems of cooperation, fairness, and justice long before priests codified divine commandments. By monopolizing morality, religions imply that without them, society would collapse into chaos. This narrative justifies their power while discrediting alternative moral systems like humanism or secular ethics. Furthermore, religious morality often reflects the biases of its time, endorsing slavery, subjugating women, or persecuting outsiders, yet presented as eternal truth. By presenting morality as divine, institutions avoid accountability for these flaws. Meanwhile, those who challenge religious moral codes are framed as corrupt or godless. This monopoly creates dependency. People believe they need religion not only for spiritual salvation, but for ethical survival. In reality, morality is an evolving human construct shaped by empathy, culture, and reason. Religion simply wrapped these values in divine authority, ensuring obedience while disguising its control as benevolence. Throughout history, religion has frequently clashed with scientific progress. From Galileo's trial to the suppression of evolutionary theory, religious institutions often opposed discoveries that threatened their narratives. By controlling access to knowledge, religion maintained its grip on truth. Libraries were destroyed, scholars persecuted, and new ideas labeled heresy. The motive was clear: knowledge undermines faith-based authority. If people understand natural phenomena scientifically, they no longer need supernatural explanations. Even today, debates around evolution, climate change, and medical ethics often intersect with religious resistance. This suppression is not accidental, it is survival. Religion thrives when it remains the primary source of answers. When science intrudes, faith loses ground. The conflict between science and religion illustrates how belief systems rooted in divine authority fear evidence, reason, and open inquiry. By silencing knowledge, religion preserved its power for centuries, ensuring its survival as humanity's supposed source of truth, even when truth lay elsewhere. Far from being only about peace, religion has been a leading cause of war and violence. Crusades, jihads, inquisitions, and countless holy wars demonstrate how faith can mobilize entire populations to kill in the name of God. By framing conflict as divine duty, religious leaders transform political or territorial disputes into sacred missions. This not only justifies atrocities, but also sanctifies them. Soldiers believe they are earning eternal reward, while leaders consolidate power under a banner of righteousness. Religion's ability to unite people under shared belief makes it a potent weapon for mobilization. The tragedy is that countless lives have been lost, not for divine justice, but for human ambition disguised as sacred cause. Even today, conflicts across the globe are inflamed by religious identity. Far from bringing peace, religion has often been the justification for some of humanity's darkest chapters. Its role in war shows how belief can be twisted into one of the most destructive forces in history. Religions worldwide have historically placed women in subordinate positions. Whether it is barring women from priesthood, enforcing strict dress codes, or framing them as temptresses, religious doctrines often reinforce patriarchal control. By claiming these roles are divinely ordained, religion ensures gender inequality is not just social but spiritual. Women who resist are framed as rebellious against God, not just tradition. This limits opportunities, education, and autonomy. Even in modern times, many religious institutions resist gender equality, framing it as a threat to divine order. This systemic inequality reveals how religion can serve as a tool for reinforcing social hierarchies. It's not just about faith, it's about preserving power structures that benefit one gender over another. By sanctifying inequality, religion disguises injustice as sacred truth. Religions often position themselves as protectors of the poor, yet history shows a pattern of exploitation. From tithes that take money from struggling families to promises of miracles in exchange for donations, religious institutions frequently profit from poverty. The poor, desperate for hope, are more vulnerable to promises of divine intervention. Leaders use this vulnerability to secure loyalty and resources. Megachurches thrive on donations from followers who can least afford it, while wealthy institutions accumulate untaxed assets. The irony is stark. While preaching humility and charity, religions often live in opulence, funded by those in need. This cycle ensures dependence, as the poor believe salvation is tied to sacrifice. Religion here functions less as a comfort for the oppressed and more as a system that perpetuates their exploitation under a holy banner. One of religion's most effective strategies is targeting children. From a young age, children are immersed in rituals, prayers, and doctrines before they can critically evaluate them. This ensures beliefs become second nature, woven into identity before reason develops. By the time critical thinking emerges, faith is often too deeply ingrained to question. Religious education systems reinforce this, presenting doctrine as fact rather than belief. Fear-based teachings like eternal damnation are especially powerful when introduced early, shaping a child's worldview permanently. This early indoctrination ensures generational continuity, making religion less about personal choice and more about inherited identity. The cycle continues as indoctrinated children become indoctrinating adults. By claiming ownership of the mind at its most vulnerable stage, religion ensures survival not through truth, but through programming. Religious leaders often preach virtues like humility, honesty, and compassion, yet history is filled with examples of hypocrisy. Corrupt clergy, scandalous misconduct, and extravagant lifestyles expose the gap between preached values and practiced reality. This hypocrisy is not isolated. It reflects the larger structure where institutions demand obedience without accountability. Leaders are forgiven by invoking divine will, while ordinary believers are punished for far lesser sins. This double standard undermines the credibility of religion, yet many followers continue to excuse it. The reason is psychological. When faith is tied to identity, admitting hypocrisy threatens the entire belief system. Thus, hypocrisy becomes tolerated, even normalized, as long as the institution maintains its sacred image. Religion's hypocrisy is not just a flaw, it's part of the system that ensures leaders remain untouchable while followers remain submissive. Even in supposedly secular nations, religion wields enormous political power. From shaping laws on abortion and marriage to influencing education and healthcare, religious institutions continue to dictate policies. Politicians often use religion to appeal to voters, framing themselves as defenders of faith. This intertwining ensures religion remains relevant even when societies become more modern and scientific. The danger is that laws shaped by religious doctrine often restrict freedoms, particularly for minorities or dissenters. By embedding itself in politics, religion extends its control beyond temples and churches into the very structure of society. This influence reveals that religion is not just about personal belief, it's about power at the highest levels. One of religion's greatest appeals is the sense of belonging it offers. People find community, tradition, and shared values within religious groups, but this benefit comes at a cost. Belonging is conditional, based on conformity to doctrine. Dissenters are often excluded, shamed, or even persecuted. The community is less about unconditional love and more about enforcing boundaries. Religion provides identity, but it also divides. It separates believers from non-believers, insiders from outsiders. What appears to be unity is often conformity.